Joining us right now on the Comcast Business Hotline from the Ricky Room, forever a Super Bowl champion. You see him on pre- and post-game live, Birds Huddle as well. Mr. Barrett Brooks, how you doing today, Barrett?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm glad to see Howie Roseman taking care of his guys. I mean, you got to pay the guy. He could have went out there and broke the record. He chose for the betterment of the team, won a Super Bowl for him. You had to reward him.
Absolutely. So to start with, there ends up being two benefits in the short term. One, obviously, Saquon gets $36 million in guarantees, becomes the highest-paid running back in NFL history. At the same time, the Eagles get an extra $6.7 million in cap space for this season. So to you, is there any downside to this move?
No, not at all. Not at all. We're talking about a guy that really takes care of himself, so I'm not worried about injuries at this point. I mean, the only thing that can happen is that he gets better. You look at the situation. This team is really based on him being successful, so I'm sure he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he's going to be available. That's the best availability, that he's available for him. So, yes, I think it's a win for both sides.
I got a weird question for you. Is he dropping popcorn kernels for us in a sense that I'm talking about Howie now? You know what? He picked up $6.7 million on this for cap money. Everything is trending like he's starting to have himself a little bit of a bankroll. Is there something behind that, you think?
Man, at this point, you never know what Howie. You got to take your hat off also to the owner. The mere fact that he's allowing Howie Roseman to make these deals. When you guarantee these guys money, when they get the guaranteed money, that money has to go into an escrow account. It's not like they're saying, all right, we'll pay it. The owner, Mr. Lurie has to make sure that he has the money in an escrow account for the players. You know what I mean? That's there, that he can't touch. That money is there for the players. So he has to be willing to do that also. So you got to take your hat off of Mr. Lurie. But we also understand that all this stuff is getting pushed back. And I tell you what, he's the king at this point. Howie Roseman's the king of going out and negotiating deals and getting what they need here in Philadelphia.
Now, looking at this offseason, they're now with some of the moves they've made. Corner now, they're a little bit thin on the outside, depending on how much you believe in Ringo or if they can bring back Rodgers. You have offensive line moves and things like that, and obviously Bourne. On Monday, when they can start really making deals and that tampering period begins, what do you think Howie's first priority is going to be? Is it going to be internal or external now that they have $6.7 million extra dollars going into the league year?
I'm thinking it's going to be on Bond. I still think Bond is a guy that's a necessity here. He needs to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Looking at what he does and what he brings to the table, I think he's a must-have in that locker room. And I really think that the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, is going to be like, look, I really need this guy. I really do need this guy. It's going to be hard to replace a guy like him. We said the same thing about T.J. Edwards. It took us 2 years to replace T.J. Edwards. Now we're in a position now where, we have somebody that's solid there. And we've never had really a guy since, the last 10 years that was a solid guy in the middle, that we could trust in the middle. Well, we have him now, and I think we need to go ahead and pay him.
All right, after a Bond deal gets done, then what is your must move? Because obviously there's some I'm sure it's on defense, and I'm sure there's some spots that you are thinking of that need to be covered.
Well, it has to be either a rush-in or a three technique. One of the two. We need D linemen in the worst way. I thought they were still kind of shallow in the defensive line, even there, and they won a Super Bowl. I thought they needed a little more as far as, having guys to be able to come in and be effective players, throughout the season. So I really think we need to go with an defensive lineman or a defensive end, a rush in or a really good pass rushing defensive three technique.
Now, that's interesting, Barrett, following up on that, because you have a situation at right guard there where Steen is there. Becton obviously had his best career. I mean, he was almost out of the league. And now he's a free agent and has a Super Bowl ring. I noticed you didn't mention that one. So why are you more focused on that side of the ball than Becton? And the reason I ask you that is when we ask, fans are really big on bringing Becton back.
Well, I know they want Becton back, but at this point, the only way he could come back is if he gave Philadelphia a hometown discount. He's made his money. He was a former first-round draft choice. He's made a lot of money. So I think he could give him a deal. But at this point, it's his second deal. This is where you're supposed to break the bank. So he's going to want to go out there and test the market. I think Tyler Steen will be, good enough to come in and play. We drafted the kid from Michigan last year, so we have guys who can come in and play even if they don't sign him back. So I don't think it's much of a priority like we're making it out to be from a fan how they're speculating this defense, the offensive line is going to be. When I look at this offensive line, I mean, you could plug and play guys. Tyler Steen will be perfect in there, So, I think now, on the Stoutland University, he'll be just fine being that right guard we need going forward during the season.
I got to ask you, obviously Bryce Huff comes down from the Jets. You're thinking this guy's going to be a great edge player. He's going to get to the quarterback. He had some injuries this year. Any chance of him bouncing back?
He's going to have to. He's going to have to. Looking at how this cap is being situated, we got to sign Bond. We've got to make sure we bring in another edge rusher and a 3 technique. He's still got to step up. He's got to be the guy that we want to bring in and draft. I mean, we don't have to draft another guy because he's going to be there stable. He's got 2 more years left on this deal. He's got to come out and produce. I can't see him, coming in having the same results he had last year. He now understands what his, assignment's going to be, how he's supposed to play, and hopefully, he comes in and becomes that impact player that we need him to be during this season. I mean, it's an absolute must that he has to be that guy we're looking for.
We're speaking with Barrett Brooks from the Ricky Room on the Comcast Business Hotline. When we're looking towards free agency, you already said that you didn't think the trade for Garrett was realistic, and you very well could be correct. At the same time, Howie usually, in addition to some of the moves like Bourne, some of the moves like Becton a little bit later on, almost every year he makes a move on that first day right away. Do you think that's where they go towards the defensive line early, or do you think they would maybe go somewhere else, or you think it's definitely going to be defensive line? Because Howie's pattern basically every year is to get somebody big on that first day of free agency.
Well, it's going to be somebody big first day. It's going to have to be somebody that's going to be cheaper. So that means, it's going to be an older player. Maybe a Khalil Mack, somebody like that, to come in and take the place at the outside rusher. You can't have, somebody, that's young and ready to come in here and roll. It's going to have to be somebody that's going to be willing to take a little bit less and become a ring chaser as opposed to a guy that's wanting the money. I mean, that's just a guy betting on himself. He's been able to do that, Alshon Jeffries, guys like that, to come in, and really make an impact and, for a lesser price. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. But, to sign Garrett, I love it, man. I would want a Garrett here. He's the best defensive player in the NFL right now. To me, he's the best defensive player in the NFL. So why would he come in and not want a deal? He's going to want top dollar for his services. So I just don't think it's realistic for this Eagles team to go out there and get him. But Howie Roseman's done it before. He went and got Saquon. I didn't think that was a possibility either. So we'll see. But I don't think at this point, Garrett's a realistic way of thinking that we can go out there and get a pass rusher.
All right, obviously, we got the free agency coming up. I got to ask, did you see anything from the Combine? Did anybody stand out to you that's like, wouldn't mind seeing him drop to 32?
Jaheed Campbell. I think that he could be somebody who can come in, linebacker. He can play a depth. In fact, he's the closest thing to a Bond that I saw in the draft from his production. Number 11 from Alabama. He can play. So I believe he can come in and be what we need. He's a great off-ball linebacker. He can blitz from anywhere. Plus, he can come off the edge as an edge rusher also. So he kind of, is what the pattern that Vic Fangio wants his linebacker to be. So I think he's the closest thing to Zach Bond that we can get in this draft.
Before we let you go, because we're up near a break, Howie continues to make big investments on that offensive side of the ball, Saquon being another one, and going younger for the most part on the defensive side of the ball. Now, obviously, eventually Carter and Quinion and all those guys are going to get paid. But do you like just the way he's approaching it, Howie? We'll wait for the results and see if they can, have another great season. But do you like the way he's handling it, where he continues to invest heavily on the offensive side of the ball?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You look at it, he's done a great job of making that defense the youngest defense in the league. These guys want to come out and play, and he has the best culture guy as far as Vic Fangio being a guy that's going to come in and teach these young guys how to play the defense. So, it's a win-win. You have young guys who are learning the NFL and how to be NFL players, and what does he do? He coaches these guys and makes them very efficient at what their job is by teaching them how to play the game. So that's very effective. On the offensive side of the ball, We just got major weapons. We're just trying to get everybody in a position where they're running cohesively through Jalen Hurts. So I think that's the best way to do it. He's done it the opposite way before. When they won the Super Bowl the last time, they had a bunch of, guys that were hired guns come in and play for him. Well, now he's changed it up. Now he's doing it through the draft. And that's because, he paid the quarterback. So I think he's done a masterful job of making sure he's brought in enough talent to come in and play early and be under the cap because they're young and also be able to compete at this level.
Well, Barrett, we really appreciate you spending some time with us, man. It's exciting times.
Loving it, man. Loving it. Free agency, the draft, all these young guys, this is what it's all about.
You got a woo?
Woo! Come on now. Woo! Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Appreciate it, Barrett. That was Barrett Brooks from the Ricky Room on the Comcast Business Hotline. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.